Hello students, welcome to first PU video lectures organized by Mysore District PU Chemistry Lecturers Forum. Do subscribe to my PU Chemistry, our YouTube channel for more videos. I am Nandita N. Nair from Gopal Swami PU College, Mysuru. Today I shall be handling another session of chemical bonding chapter. We shall move on to the next important theory. Okay, last class we did VSEPR theory. Now this class we are going to be doing MOT. Okay, now what is this MOT? Molecular orbital theory. So today's session is about molecular orbital theory. All right. Now this was developed by Hund and Mulliken in the year 1932. Now what are the different postulates about the molecular orbital theory? So it's not that very difficult. Try and understand it point to point. When we talk about atomic orbitals, I'm going to be indicating atomic orbital as AO, okay, and the molecular orbital is going to be written as MO. So AO stands for atomic orbital and MO stands for molecular orbital. So in MOT we speak of atomic orbitals combining. So atomic orbitals having similar energies and proper symmetry. Now when I say having similar energies and proper symmetry, what I mean is 1s orbital of one atom will not combine with 2s or 3s of another atom, it will combine with 1s orbital of the other atom. So that's why I said they will have similar energies. So 1s orbital of one atom will combine with 1s orbital of another atom. That combination will result in new orbitals called molecular orbitals. So I repeat, atomic orbitals of similar energies combine to form molecular orbitals. I have also said that they should be of proper symmetry. Now when I say that, I mean for example px, okay, px will not combine with py or pz of another atom, it will combine with px itself of another atom. So they should be of similar symmetries or they should be of proper symmetries. It's px orbital that will combine with px orbital of the other atom or py with py, so on, right. So that's the first point, atomic orbitals combine to form new orbitals and these new orbitals are called molecular orbitals. Just like electrons of an atom are present in atomic orbitals, electrons in a molecule are present in molecular orbitals. So the electrons now do not belong to the combining atoms, the electrons now belong to the molecule, and the electrons that belong to the molecule have to be placed in the molecular orbitals. So atomic orbitals contain electrons of the atom, molecular orbitals contain electrons of the molecule. Okay. Now there is a word that is new here. Molecular orbitals are polycentric. It's like this. In an atom, okay, in an atom, the atomic orbitals are influenced by one nucleus only, one center. So in an atom, the atomic orbitals are influenced by that nucleus only, meaning to say it is monocentric. So atomic orbitals are monocentric, whereas molecular orbitals are influenced by both the combining atoms or the nuclei of both the atoms which have combined. So the molecular orbitals are influenced by both the nuclei. So when that way we say that they are polycentric, like more than one we say they are polycentric. So molecular orbitals are influenced by both the nuclei of the combining atoms, whereas atomic orbitals are influenced only by one nuclei. So atomic orbitals could be said to be monocentric, whereas molecular orbitals are polycentric. Next we talk about how many atomic orbitals are combining, that many molecular orbitals will be formed. So let's say you have one atomic orbital and another atomic orbital combining. So two atomic orbitals are combining, I'll get two molecular orbitals, and that molecular orbitals which have been formed, they are of two types. They are of two types. You will have something called BMO, listen to me, BMO stands for bonding molecular orbital, and you also have ABMO, which is anti-bonding molecular orbital. So, what are the two types of molecular orbitals formed? You have BMO, which is bonding molecular orbital, and you have ABMO, which is anti-bonding molecular orbital. We can differentiate by putting a asterisk or a star. Okay. So, you have bonding molecular orbitals and you have anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So, let us say, again I repeat, when you have an atomic orbital combining with another atomic orbital. So, two atomic orbitals are combining, I will get two molecular orbitals, out of which one will be bonding molecular orbital and the other would be anti-bonding molecular orbital. Take another case, let us say I have 3 atomic orbitals of one atom combining with 3 atomic orbitals of another atom. So, total atomic orbitals combining are 6. So, how many molecular orbitals would we get? We will get 6 molecular orbitals. Equal number will be bonding and equal number will be anti-bonding, meaning out of the 6 molecular orbitals which are formed, 3 will be bonding molecular orbitals and 3 will be anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Now, these bonding molecular orbitals will have lower energy than the combining atomic orbitals, whereas the anti-bonding molecular orbitals will be of higher energy than the combining atomic orbitals. One more word that I would like you all to understand, when it says bonding and it says anti-bonding. Anti-bonding means something that opposes bonding or something that destabilizes the molecule. So, if you place electrons in BMO, it stabilizes the molecule. If you place electrons in ABMO, it destabilizes the molecule. So, I repeat, how many molecular orbitals would you get? You would get as many molecular orbitals as atomic orbitals are combining. Out of the molecular orbitals formed, equal number will be bonding molecular orbitals and equal number will be anti-bonding molecular orbitals. The bonding molecular orbitals will be lower in energy, whereas the anti-bonding molecular orbitals will be higher in energy. The bonding molecular orbital, if you have electrons placed in that, it will stabilize the molecule, whereas if you have electrons placed in anti-bonding molecular orbital, it will destabilize the molecule. Now, how do you place these electrons in the molecular orbitals? By following our usual rules of electronic configuration. The Hund's rule is followed, which means in degenerate orbitals you will place electrons singly before pairing. Pauli's principle is followed, which means even in molecular orbitals you are going to place only 2 electrons per orbital. You can't place more than that. And Aufbau principle, which means you start from the lower energy and then you progress upwards. So, you have the lowest energy orbital being filled first, followed by the next higher and so on. So, these are the different postulates of your molecular orbital theory. These are the postulates, but what all we have to do with this will be explained in a little while. So, let me summarize once again. In case of molecular orbital theory, we speak about new orbitals being formed. What are these new orbitals? They are the molecular orbitals. They are formed by combination of atomic orbitals. Now, these atomic orbitals of proper symmetry and energy, similar energies, they combine to form molecular orbitals. The molecular orbitals are polycentric, whereas atomic orbitals are monocentric. When you talk about the molecular orbitals, the number will be equal to how many atomic orbitals are combining. Out of the molecular orbitals formed, equal number will be bonding and anti-bonding. The bonding molecular orbitals are lower in energy, whereas the anti-bonding molecular orbitals are higher in energy. Electrons placed in BMO will stabilize the molecule, whereas electrons placed in ABMO would destabilize the molecule. And you place the electrons following Hund's rule, Pauli's principle and Aufbau principle. Now, let us talk about how the molecular orbitals are formed. There is a concept called linear combination of AO. What is AO? Atomic orbitals. Let me call it as LCAO. So, linear combination of atomic orbitals is what results in molecular orbitals. Now, this linear combination of atomic orbitals can happen in 2 ways. One is by addition and the other one is by subtraction. Now, you must have heard of interference that happens to waves. In case of addition, constructive interference of the 2 waves will take place. Atomic orbital is nothing but the wave function. So, if I take the atomic orbital of atom A as psi A and the atomic orbital of atom B as psi B, they are nothing but the wave functions of the two atoms. Psi A and psi B will undergo constructive interference, meaning they will reinforce each other. The waves get reinforced. That will result in a bonding molecular orbital. So, I repeat, the bonding molecular orbital is formed by addition of the atomic orbitals, meaning they are formed by constructive interference of the wave functions or constructive interference of the waves. So, psi A plus psi B will be equal to psi BMO. Remember, BMO is bonding molecular orbital. Now, when this happens, the electron density will be between the nuclei. The two combining atoms ka nuclei, in between you will have the electron density. When there is electron density between the nuclei, the repulsion between the nuclei will be decreased, as a result of which bonding molecular orbital will be stabilized or will have lower energy. So, I already mentioned to you earlier that bonding molecular orbitals have lower energy because they have better stability, as a result of which there is electron density between the nuclei. In contrast, when you have subtraction of the atomic orbitals, this is by destructive interference of the electron waves. When you talk about destructive interference, the waves will cancel each other. When the waves cancel each other, there will be a node between the nuclei. Node is a place where you do not, a point where you do not have electron density. So, when there is a nodal surface between the two nuclei, the nuclei will repel each other too much. So, the repulsion between the nuclei will be very high. As a result, the ABMO, what is ABMO? Anti-bonding molecular orbital. The anti-bonding molecular orbital will be destabilized, or we say it is having higher energy. Remember, we put a star in order to differentiate between BMO and ABMO. So, I repeat, when we talk about combination of the atomic orbitals, two ways of combination, either by addition or by subtraction. Addition is by constructive interference of the wave and the subtraction is by destructive interference of the waves. In constructive interference, the electron density between the nuclei increases, therefore, the BMO is stabilized, or we say it is having lower energy. In case of subtraction, there will be a node between the nuclei. When there is a node between the nuclei, the repulsion of the nuclei is very high and therefore that destabilizes the ABMO. When it destabilizes the ABMO, it is of higher energy. So, this is how atomic orbitals get converted or combined to form molecular orbitals. Now, this is the energy level diagram, and in this energy level diagram, of course, it is in increasing energy. It is in increasing energy. So, let me explain. This is atom A and that is atom B. Let us assume atom A has 1s orbital, 2s orbital and 2p orbitals. So, 1s and 1s. So, how many atomic orbitals are combining? 2 atomic orbitals are combining. When 2 atomic orbitals are combining, how many molecular orbitals should be formed? 2 molecular orbitals should be formed. One should be of lower energy, which is BMO, and the other should be of higher energy, which is ABMO. The one with lower energy is sigma 1s, because s orbital combines to form sigma bond only. So, this is axial overlap. So, sigma 1s. To differentiate the ABMO, I have written it as sigma star 1s. So, 1s and 1s combines to form sigma 1s and sigma star 1s. Similarly, 2s and 2s. 2s of A atom and 2s of B atom. 2 atomic orbitals are combining, you will get 2 molecular orbitals. One will be of lower energy, which is your bonding molecular orbital, sigma 2s. The other one will be of higher energy, that is your sigma star 2s, that is your anti-bonding molecular, similar to 1s. Okay? Now, you have 2p orbitals. If your atom has 2p orbitals, 3 2p orbitals of one atom combines with another 3 orbitals of the second atom, total 6 atomic orbitals are combining. Out of the 6 molecular orbitals which are formed, 3 will be of lower energy and 3 will be of higher energy. When you talk about the 3 lower energy orbitals, they are your bonding molecular orbitals, there will be no star. The other three, the upper three, they are your anti-bonding molecular orbitals, and I have differentiated it by putting a star. As you can see, px and py degenerate. Why do I say degenerate? Because they are of same energy. That is why they have been kept at the same level, correct? So, pi 2px and pi 2py. Sigma 2pz. Z axis is taken as the internuclear axis, which is why pz combination is sigma. Px and py are lateral overlap, so lateral combination, and therefore we write pi 2px and pi 2py. Please make a note of that. So, this is sigma 2pz, this is pi star 2px, pi star 2py, and the last or the highest energy is the sigma star 2pz, sigma star 2pz. This is your molecular orbital diagram up to nitrogen. Up to nitrogen. Okay, I shall indicate what happens beyond that, but for now remember this is the orbital energy diagram, molecular orbital energy diagram up to atomic number 7, that means up to nitrogen. So, which is your lowest molecular orbital, lowest energy? Sigma 1s, after that sigma star 1s, then sigma 2s, then sigma star 2s, then pi 2px, pi 2py, sigma 2pz, pi star 2px and pi star 2py equal energy, and finally you have sigma star 2pz. So, this is your molecular orbital diagram. Okay. Now, using MOT, what are the important information that we can gather? First thing, we calculate something what is called bond order. Now, how do we calculate bond order? There is a formula for it, half of Nb minus Na. So, you take the number of electrons in BMO, subtract the number of electrons in ABMO from it, and take the half of that value. So, half of Nb minus Na. This will give us the bond order of that particular molecule. Now, what does the bond order tell you? The bond order, if it is a positive value, that implies it is a stable molecule. If the bond order is a negative value, that is an unstable molecule, and if bond order is 0, that molecule does not exist. With further examples, I will show all of these to you, but for now take down the information. So, I repeat, how do you calculate bond order? Half of Nb minus Na. You take the number of electrons in BMO minus the number of electrons in ABMO divided by 2, you get the bond order. If it is positive, it is stable, if it is negative, it is unstable, and if it is 0, the molecule does not exist. Also, your bond order becomes the number of bonds. For example, if you get a bond order of 3, that means it is a triple bond between the two atoms. Or if you get bond order 0, bond order 0 means there is no bond between the molecule, correct? Now, same way, bond order directly proportional to bond strength and bond order inversely proportional to bond length. Inversely proportional. So, these are some very, very important things which will be given as a question, like they will give you a the question like comment on the bond order or comment on the bond strength of the molecule given to you. So, you have to write the molecular orbital diagram, show the the electronic configuration, calculate the bond order, and once you get a bond order of a positive value, you can say the molecule is stable. If you get a value of 3, you can say it is more stable than a bond order of 2, and so on. One more important point, one of the successes or one of the main successes of MOT is that it could tell you about the magnetic property of the molecule. So, let me remind you about that point again. So, another very, very important information is that it tells you about the magnetic property of the molecule. So, when I am talking about the magnetic property, there are basically two types, okay, two types of behavior. One is you can have diamagnetic, and another is you can have paramagnetic. Diamagnetic substances are repelled in an external magnetic field, whereas paramagnetic substances are weakly attracted in an external magnetic field. Now, how do you figure that out? Using MOT. In case your molecule has all electrons are paired, all the electrons are paired. After we place the electrons, if you find that all the electrons are paired, you may say that the molecule is diamagnetic. if you have unpaired electrons, I am not saying that all should be unpaired, even one unpaired electron is there, your molecule will be paramagnetic. This is one of the successes of MOT which was not there in any other theory, which could explain the magnetic property of the molecule given to you. So, this is what we are now going to do using different examples. According to the syllabus, there are basically 5 to 6 molecules that we have to see. They are all homodiatomic molecules, meaning they are made of the similar type of atoms, out of which the first example, let me explain to you, it is your hydrogen molecule, H2 molecule. It is a homodiatomic molecule because both the atoms are hydrogen. Okay? Now, if I talk about the combining atom, remember atomic number is 1. So, in your hydrogen molecule, each hydrogen atom is having 1 electron. So, your hydrogen molecule will have 2 electrons. Your hydrogen molecule has 2 electrons. Now, this whole diagram I do not have to write for hydrogen because hydrogen has only 1s. So, what is the configuration? Let me write it here only. What is the configuration for hydrogen? The configuration for hydrogen atom is 1s1. So, 1 electron. So, let me only draw the hydrogen molecular orbital diagram for you. So, it has only 1s orbital of each atom will combine with each other. So, this is 1s of one atom, this is 1s of the other atom, this has 1 electron, this also has 1 electron. So, when they combine together, your molecule has 2 electrons. Remember, the orbitals are sigma 1s and sigma star 1s. How many electrons belong to the molecule? 2 electrons belong to the molecule. According to Pauli, where should you put the 2 electron? In one orbital. You can place maximum 2 electrons in one orbital. You start from the lowest energy level. So, the lowest energy is sigma 1s. So, you put both your electrons in the sigma 1s orbital. So, what is your molecular orbital configuration? Electronic configuration sigma 1s 2. So, there are 2 electrons in sigma 1s. So, this is your molecular orbital configuration of hydrogen molecule. Now, how do you calculate the bond order? Let me calculate the bond order here for you. So, the bond order will be half of, remember, NB minus NA. NB means electrons in bonding molecular orbital minus electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital. As I can see, my anti-bonding molecular orbital is empty. There are 2 electrons in the bonding molecular orbital, which means 2 minus 0. So, the value is 1. Do you have a positive value? Yes. So, when it is a positive value, that means it is a stable molecule. Not only that, 1 means it is a single bond. So, hydrogen, single bond, hydrogen. So, there is a single bond between the 2 hydrogen atoms. Now, look at the magnetic behavior. Both the electrons are paired. Don't look at the atoms, look at the molecule. So, if you look at the molecule, both the electrons are paired, making hydrogen molecule a diamagnetic species. So, this is a diamagnetic species because the electrons of the molecule are paired. So, what are the 3 informations we got from here? We got that the bond order is 1. It is a stable molecule because it is a positive value. That 1 indicates it is a single bond, and the magnetic behavior is it is a diamagnetic molecule. So, this is your first example, which is hydrogen molecule. Moving on, let me take the next example. I am going to make a few changes here. I am sure you can write it along with me. So, I am taking helium molecule, He2. Now, helium is having an atomic number of 2. So, atomic number 2, which means the configuration will be 1s2. Correct? So, in your helium molecule, how many electrons will be there in total? Your helium molecule will have 4 electrons. So, when I draw the orbital diagram, I will put 2 electrons in 1s of one atom and 2 electrons in 1s of the other atom. Now, total, how many electrons do I have for the molecule? I have total of 4 electrons. Of course, I started from sigma 1s. Filled ಆಯಿತು. So, now we go to sigma star 1s. So, after placing 2 electrons here, I will place the next 2 electrons here. So, I have sigma 1s2 and sigma star 1s2. So, the configuration sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. sigma star 1s2. Now, when I calculate the bond order, this will become 2 minus 2. How did you get that? You counted the number of electrons in bonding and you counted the number of electrons in anti-bonding. So, 2 minus 2, which means the bond order is 0. What do you mean by saying that the bond order is 0? Which means the molecule does not exist. Very, very obvious, because helium is a noble gas. Noble gases do not combine to form molecules, they have independent existence. So, does He2 molecule exist? No. And how do you prove it? You prove it by showing that the bond order is 0. So, bond order of 0 means that the molecule does not exist. So, helium molecule gets a bond order of 0 implies does not exist. Does not exist. So, when it does not exist, there is no point in us mentioning about the magnetic behavior. Let us just conclude that it does not exist. So, this is your second example. Your second example is helium molecule, which is He2 molecule. Okay. Now, moving on, let us do a fresh case. Let us redraw everything. So, I am now moving on to another example. Okay. Some 5-6 examples let us do so that we can understand our concept. The third example I am going for is lithium molecule, Li2 molecule. Okay. So, lithium molecule. Tell me the atom lithium is having atomic number of 3, which means the configuration is 1s2, 2s1. So, lithium molecule, which is made of 2 atoms, will have total of 6 electrons. When I draw the diagram, now I have 2 levels to draw. Why? Because lithium has 1s as well as 2s. So, let us do that. So, you have 1s combining to form 2 molecular orbitals, and you also have 2s combining to form 2 molecular orbitals, correct? So, this is 1s and this is 2s of one of the atom. Same way, this is 1s and 2s of the other atom, right? Now, this is sigma 1s, this is sigma star 1s, this is sigma 2s and this is sigma star 2s. How many electrons in 1s? 2 electrons and 1 electron in 2s. Same way, here also 1s has 2 electrons and 2s here, correct? Now total how many electrons belong to the molecule? Total 6 electrons belong to the molecule. I will start from the lowest energy. So, I will place 2 electrons here, filled. Now, I have to go to the next level. So, again 2 electrons here. So, 2, 4. Next, I will put it here, which means I have total 6 electrons. Now, to write the electronic configuration, how do we write the electronic configuration? Sigma 1s has 2 electrons, sigma star 1s also has 2 electrons, and you have sigma 2s having 2 electrons, Now, written the electronic configuration, calculate the bond order. So, remind me again, what is the bond order? Half of Nb minus Na. So, half of Nb. Count the number of electrons in bonding. Look at the orbitals without the star. So, without the star means 2 and 2, 4. So, 4 minus number of electrons in antibonding. Number of electrons in antibonding means the one with the star. So, you have 2 electrons. So, 4 minus 2, 2. 2 by 2 is equal to 1. Positive? Yes. So, is it a stable molecule? Yes. Does that mean it has a single bond? Yes. Is it paramagnetic or diamagnetic? It is diamagnetic, because all the electrons are paired. So, this is your example of Li2 molecule. Okay. Moving on, the third example. So, we have done 3 examples already, H2, He2 and Li2. Okay. Now, moving on, I have 3 more examples to do with you. So, let us do carbon 2 molecule, C2 molecule. Okay. I am going to use that diagram now, because you have more electrons to fill in. So, you have C2 molecule. Alright. So, example number 4. Carbon with an atomic number of 6. So what's the configuration going to be? 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. So 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Now, how many electrons in the molecule in total? So you have 6 and 6, which means I have 12 electrons to fill up. I have 12 electrons to fill up. All right. Now again, let me show the molecular orbital diagram. I'm going to be doing it here. So 1s, 2 electrons, so 1 atom I'm doing, okay. 2s also 2 electrons, and 2p is having 2 single electrons. This is your atom, okay, 1 atom. Same way the other atom also has 2 electrons in 1s, 2 electrons in 2s, and 2 electrons in 2p, and 2 electrons in 2p. So total how many electrons should we fill in? We should fill in 12 electrons. Start from the lowest. So 2 electrons, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Remember, we fill singly before pairing them up, okay. So this is your configuration. So how is the electronic configuration for C2 molecule? Start with the lowest. Sigma 1s has 2 electrons. Sigma star 1s also has 2 electrons. Sigma 2s has 2 electrons. Sigma star 2s also has 2 electrons. Now, beyond that, you have pi 2px with 2 electrons and pi 2py also with 2 electrons. So this is your electronic configuration of C2 molecule. Now, calculate the bond order. Half of 2, 4, 6, 8. So the bonding electrons are 8 in number. Anti-bonding, star dekho. So here you have 2 and here you have 2. So 8 minus 4. So the bond order turns out to be 2. Bond order turns out to be 2. So according to molecular orbital theory, your C2 molecule is a stable molecule and there will be a double bond between the two atoms. And what about its magnetic behavior? All the electrons, don't look at the atoms. Every time the confusion should not be there. Don't look at the atom, look at the molecule in between. So when you look at the molecule in between, you can see that it is a diamagnetic species. So your C2 molecule is a diamagnetic species. So this is your example number 4, which is C2 molecule. Alright. Example number 5. Take your time. Do N2 molecule by yourself and then cross check what I am doing on the screen as well, okay. So do it by yourself. I shall also do it here. You do it by yourself and then see whether you have got it correct. So I am moving on to the 5th example. The 5th example that I have is nitrogen. So nitrogen molecule with an atomic number of 7. So your N2 molecule will have total of how many electrons? Will have a total of 14 electrons, which means it will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Right. So let me make a few changes there. You please do your individually do your work as well. So this is your 1s2, 2s2, 2p3, correct? Same way 1s2, 2s2 and you are having 2p3. So total how many electrons? 14 electrons. So your 14 electrons have to be placed in the molecular orbitals, not the atomic orbitals. Start from the lowest. Sigma 1s, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Then what? 9, 10, 11, 12. And you have 2 more. So you place it here. So this is the molecular orbital diagram for N2 molecule. Configuration mein one more thing will be added, sigma 2pz2. Sigma 2pz2. So when you calculate the bond order, it becomes 10 minus 4. So if it is 10 minus 4, your bond order for N2 molecule will be 3. For N2 molecule will be 3. What does that mean? First of all, is it a positive value? Yes. So is it a stable molecule? Definitely. Nitrogen molecule is extremely stable. Now, what does that value of 3 mean? The value of 3 means that there is a triple bond between the nitrogen atoms. So, if you want to compare with carbon, remember carbon had a bond order of 2, nitrogen has a bond order of 3. So, which means nitrogen molecule is more stable than carbon molecule. So, N triple bond N is a diamagnetic molecule. With respect to bond order, it has a higher bond order of 3 as compared to C2 molecule. So, this much is your example up to nitrogen. Remember I said up to nitrogen, this is the orbital diagram. From oxygen onwards, there is going to be a slight change. Let us see what it is. Now, we are on the last section of MOT. Beyond nitrogen, there is a slight change in the energy levels. Okay? So, what is the change? You can notice here. Up to nitrogen, sigma 2pz was of higher energy than pi 2px and pi 2py. This time sigma 2pz becomes lower in energy and pi 2px and pi 2py becomes higher in energy. So, beyond nitrogen, that one change you have to note down. Okay? Only one example comes for you for the exam also, it is there in your textbook, that is the oxygen molecule. Very, very important. So, you can go through that in detail. So, we are going to be now doing this last example also. This is oxygen molecule. Now, in oxygen molecule, your atom is having 8 electrons. Atomic number of oxygen is 8. The configuration will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So, oxygen molecule will have a total of 16 electrons. So, let me draw the diagram. So, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So, you have how many electrons? 8 electrons in one atom. Similarly, for the other atom also 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So, you have total of 8 electrons. So, when you are writing the molecular orbital diagram, total 16 electrons have to be accommodated. I will start from the lower level. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 electrons done. Okay. Now, I have 2 more electrons. Remember, you have to place them singly. Why? Because they are degenerate orbitals and Hund's rule makes us keep them singly. The electrons have to be placed singly before you pair them up. This is the orbital diagram for oxygen molecule. The exam also you have to draw the diagram completely. Don't forget to name the orbitals. Many of you will draw the diagram but will forget to name the orbitals. Don't do that. Okay. Now, what's the configuration? So, the electronic configuration, start from the lowest, sigma 1s2, after which you have sigma star 1s2 and then sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, after which you have sigma 2pz2, then pi 2px2, pi 2py2 and you have pi star 2px1, pi star 2py1. This is the configuration of your molecule. Now what is the bond order? Half of. Count the number of electrons in bonding. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So, 10 minus antibonding with the star. So, 2, 4, 5, 6. So, 10 minus 6, that is your bond order is 2 because your oxygen has a double bond. It is a stable molecule and your oxygen has a double bond. So, O double bond O. Now comes the interesting thing. Look at the electrons of oxygen molecule. Are all the electrons paired? No. The last 2 electrons are unpaired. This makes your oxygen molecule a paramagnetic molecule. Why is it paramagnetic? Because it has 2 unpaired electrons. So, when it has 2 unpaired electrons, it is a paramagnetic molecule. So, according to MOT, oxygen molecule is paramagnetic. This has been experimentally verified also. So, this is your oxygen molecule ka example. Maybe if you have time, what you should be doing is, you should also try out one more example, which is Ne2 molecule. You can do it by yourself. So, Ne2 molecule, even before we write the diagram or something, you know neon is a noble gas. Noble gases do not exist as molecules, they independently exist. So, your Ne2 molecule should get a bond order of 0. So, maybe as a question you can say, using MOT, justify that Ne2 molecule does not exist. How would you do that? You will do the calculation, you will do the diagram, you will do the bond order calculation and justify that the bond order in Ne2 molecule is 0. Okay. So, with this we conclude MOT. So, just to recap on what we have done, we have seen all the postulates of MOT, we have seen the important information that we get from MOT, that is regarding bond order, magnetic behavior, regarding the strength of the bond and so on, and we have done a few examples. All these examples are from your textbook and it is very, very important for your board exam. So, do go through the theory once again and I conclude today's class. Thank you so much. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, My PU Chemistry. Thank you.